Everyone, welcome. Thank you all so much for joining us. We will be getting started in another minute or so, but thank you again for being here. Really looking forward to sharing more about HueArts NYC with you all and hearing some of your thoughts about the project. All right. I think we have a full room. We can get started. So hello, everyone. My name is Stephanie Johnson Cunningham. I am the director of Museum Hue. Just to let you all know, the program today is being recorded. Feel free to turn your cameras on or off wherever you feel most comfortable. I would also like to thank our live transcriber, Danielle, who will be working with us throughout the program today. So the event will be closed caption, and we hope that we will be able to provide you with some imagery as well around the project so that you can familiarize yourself with it a bit more. So if you require captions for breakout group discussions, please DM Aisha Williams via the chat, and she will assist you in doing so. Before we get started, just want to do a bit of land acknowledgement. So I respectfully acknowledge that I am on the occupied and unceded land of the Seminole tribe in Florida. I recognize that they are the original stewards of this land and pay respect to the elders, past, present, and future. And I invite you all to join me in acknowledging the histories of the land where you are currently gathered and pay respect and gratitude to its original stewards. So again, thank you all so much for coming. I also want to thank Museum Hue team, the Laundromat Project, Hester Street, our HueArts Advisory Committee members, and our funders, Mellon Foundation, Ford Foundation, and the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, and the New York City Council members as well. I'll hand it over to my colleague, Kemi.
Fabulous. Good evening, everyone. So excited to have you here today. Can't wait to share more about this project with you, and even more importantly, to hear from you and all that you can do to kind of help inform going forward. I'm Kemi Alaisami. I'm the Executive Director of the Laundromat Project. And the Laundromat Project is one of the partners of HueArts, as Stephanie just mentioned. So Museum Hue, Hester Street, the Laundromat Project, and House of Cakes are working on this collaboratively. And for those who don't yet know, HueArts NYC, which came into being this year through conversations that grew out of the conversations and injustices and reckoning that started last summer after the murder of George Floyd. So HueArts NYC will be a comprehensive map, online directory and report and hub for New York City's arts entities that have been created by and currently center Black, Latinx, Indigenous, Asian, Pacific Islander, Middle Eastern, and all people of color arts and organizations. It covers all 5 boroughs, featuring nonprofits, fiscally sponsored entities, and for-profits. This will be a map that aims to highlight those that are producing, performing, and presenting artwork and supporting artists, and so that we have a chance to amplify their impact and increase the support for their critical contributions to our city's life, which has only become more critical and more visible in the last year as we've all been struggling through a variety of pandemics that are ongoing. So this will be a rich and living visual and textual record that we hope helps advance racial and cultural equity in our city and beyond. You can look for the map online and interactive, a directory, and a brown paper, which will be completed in December of this year. So definitely keep an eye out for that. We've learned so much from our listening tour of conversations with many of you on this call, our advisory committee, our community conversations, and now this larger public community forum. So we really are looking forward to hearing what you have to say and contribute to this project. So what you can expect today is we will have 3 presentations, short, just to kind of ground us. What are POC arts organizations doing across the city? And we've invited 3 members of the advisory committee to share. Amy and Drew from Mokada, Libertad Guerra from the Clemente Center, and Kyong Park of Pacific Beat. Then, after we're kind of, have our creative juices and, and we're feeling inspired, we will break out into conversation groups. And we hope that many of you will stay for that. And if you don't, we appreciate you coming for this beginning. And this will be your opportunity to contribute, to talk, to be in conversation with us directly. And we have 4 people who will be facilitating that. Actually, we have a few more than that, but Andrew Clark from Brata, Diane Ferrer from Amarinda, Swati Kurana, who is an artist and has many different organizations she's been associated with over the years, Lorna Harris of Visionary GPS, myself will be a facilitator, Lillian Cho from Hester Street, and Stephanie, who you've also met, will be a facilitator. So thank you, and I turn it back to Stephanie.
Thank you so much, Kemi, for that rundown. I'll like to introduce our speakers, our presenters for today. So first up, we'll have Amy and Drew of Mokada.
Good evening, everyone. I'm honored to be here and in community with all of you. My name is Amy Andrier, and I'm the Executive Director and Chief Curator at Mokada. There's so much to say about Mokada. I stand on the shoulders of giants. Mokada started in 1999 as part of, our founder, Laurie Cumbo's thesis on whether or not an African arts museum could be viable to the community, the neighboring Black community that is in Bed-Stuy, politically, socially, economically. How could we give back to the community? How could we act as an arts institution, focusing on art making, art practice, and the development of artists, but also give back to the community in a real way. And that is very much the fabric of what I do today, 20 years later at Mokada. So for us, Mokada works through 3 programmatic arms: education, social justice, and the arts, with the key mission of breaking down the barriers to the arts for those who have been systematically left out, exploring social justice topics through the lens of creativity, operating as a safe space for mutual aid and sustainability, and serving as a conduit to expression, discovery, inspiration, and learning. And that's all through the lens of the African diaspora, the cultures of the African diaspora. But what's really interesting, and I talk about this a lot, is this double mandate, this idea that, again, we are not just making art for art's sake, we're also engaging in dialogue about the pressing social issues facing the African diaspora worldwide. But also, we have to keep in mind that many of Mokada's core audience, face educational, economic, or exposure barriers preventing them from making it through our museum doors. So to balance that inequity, of that inequality of access and representation, we strive to be more than a museum. We uplift a museum without walls approach. So where our primary mission is to bring arts directly to the people. So oftentimes what we do is while we have exhibitions within our space or multiple spaces, we bring arts to public parks, local schools, public schools, small businesses, multiple opportunities for arts appreciation in innovative ways that are free or low cost to our residents. Over the years, we've challenged those boundaries to produce over 60 exhibitions, 500 plus public programs in the streets, as I mentioned before. And we create community programs that reach well over 200,000 people every year. For us, Mokada is a critical tool for engaging the community across social divides while welcoming those who've been systematically left out. For us, that community looks like Black folks, children, underrepresented residents who come from marginalized communities, including people living with disabilities, elders, women, Latinx, LGBTQIA+, and more. If I were to talk about the dreams for Mokada, you know, I wasn't here for the first 20 years, but I hope to be here for the next 20. You know, what the dream looks like for me is an increased commitment to sharing the histories, creativity, and legacy of Africa and its diaspora, expanding the narrative, while deepening our connection to community through our dynamic community building and life-affirming framework. Apologies, guys, it's been a long day. But a life-affirming network framework. And what that means to me is creating more opportunities for artists to expand to open the door to financial opportunity and empowerment, instilling a sense of pride and belonging in our communities, continuing to dismantle the walls that exist between the arts, education, and those who are systematically denied access, providing artists, educators, and residents opportunities to explore their talents and other practices within self-care, and shifting our realities so that we can reclaim public spaces as places where creativity, art, and excellence can thrive. And that is not based on a fiscal year to fiscal year. We're talking long-term, you know, decade upon decade upon decade program schedule and funding schedule, hopefully. That is what we look to do at Mokada now. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Amy. Next up, we'll have, all right. Next up, we'll have Libertad Guerra from the Clemente Center.
So, hi everyone. I repurposed some slides because they said that it might be better than just looking at my face. So, let's see how this goes. Next one. I just sent this to Aisha just 5 minutes ago. So you can go to the next one. But for those of you who don't know the Clemente Sotovelas Cultural Center, we operate about 100 square footage of a Gothic building, a former public school, a PS 160 constructed in 1897. It didn't work? The slides didn't turn over?
Give me 1 second. I'll catch up to you.
Okay, so for nearly 3 decades now, founded in the early 90s, it has been a vibrant and affordable art space for contemporary art. That's like the third slide. We could go a little bit previous to that. And it truly has been a haven for independent artists and cultural producers, you know, a pipeline for a lot of people, not just artists, but, you know, independent producers. Everywhere I go, even myself 20 years ago, that's where I put my first curatorial hat or producer hat when I never expected to have become the ED 20 years later. And it was founded with that in mind, that mission to compensate for the lack of equity in the field and you know, in the era of the post-era of disinvestment and, you know, when gentrification and the Lower East Side was like the ground zero for it, that's when the founders, who were 3 Latino men, came up with the idea. It's always operated though, and it's been a mirror of the dynamics of the neighborhood and the space. That ethos of it is village versus Lower East Side. I don't know what's happening. 1 second.
Do you need to advance to the next one?
I'm so sorry. And next one. Yes, so that's the mission. I'm sorry, I just want to keep to my 5 minutes. Go forward. And we operate, as I said, it's a school building, so we operate 4 theaters. We are the umbrella for about 12 nonprofits within us and 70 artists in affordable studio. We provide deeply affordable studios. Our programming model, you can go to the next one, is very much rooted on a mixture between preservation and responsive arts, as well as provocative juxtapositions that reflect that downtown, sensibility. I was just referring to that dialectical reputation that, the Lower East Side has had of being very white, avant-garde. The squatter movement, the punk movement is very much associated with white, even though it's an artificial category. The Puerto Rican and many ethnic communities contributed to that, but it's because of lack of archivals, activism, and so forth. That hasn't been as much put in the forefront. And sometimes it has been reflected inside the vast ecosystem that is the Clemente, with so many artists and organizations itself. So next one. So I came clear-eyed as to what my role had to be at the helm of the Clemente after a lot of leadership turnover. And part of the successes I've had was like a renewal of the bylaw structure of a BIPOC-oriented board that is completely committed to equity. So yes, in the past 3 decades, the Clemente has provided much great art. As I said, we have an exhibition program of more than 14 exhibits per year, subsidizing independent BIPOC curators. We produce more than 5 to 6 festivals per year, and we provide countless subsidies and partnerships to other external organizations who don't have spaces for us to co-produce with them. And that's what we've been doing under COVID during these times. You can go forward. We have a external space, and we are constantly co-producing with, you can go forward with other organizations of color. This was just this last weekend. That's why my brain is a little bit melted. We just came out of a 5-day festival called Puppet Fringe. It was a nice experiment. We made it to the front cover of the art section in the New York Times. It was a nice experiment because it was also a partnership of Clemente with one of our internal organizations, but also we partnered with the City Museum of New York. So it's not so often that CIGs partner with program groups or more community-based cultural BIPOC organizations. And it proved to be a worthwhile experiment that worked really well for them. And we didn't feel exploited either, because that could many times be the case when such partnerships arise. You can go forward. So that was something that we just came out of last week, and this is just part of the images of this International Puppet Fringe Festival that has become a staple of ours. This just happened last weekend. Go forward. And then I guess if I may say some of my dreams for the field, we should all be gearing for conversations about added value, expanded membership, and including this kind of think tank experience that we're having amongst us, especially to find ways of how to protect our BIPOC institutional legacies. Because many people, we need to think of succession lines and pipelines for even people outside of arts administration, beyond the artists themselves, to know what it took for us to be founded as institutions, the activism that it took. And even once one becomes an institution, and maybe one looks as, maybe the perception is like we become more conservative. It required a lot of activism for the people at the time to do institutional building. So I think that one of my dreams is, for those legacies to be put forward, the durational values that they require, for us to explore safety net options for operational and adaptive capital. Many of BIPOC organizations don't have that. We don't have, resources beyond our 3 or 4, less than 3 months of operational costs, and also to explore more cross-border multidisciplinary collaborations. I think that to me would be a panacea. Finally, I think we also need to explore more political power. So we are here to stay as an aggregate and explore how we can come together for that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Libertad. Next up, we'll have Kyong Park of Pacific Beat.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation and this opportunity to share with you my work. I also have some slides to share. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Kyong Park, and I'm Artistic Director of Kyong's Pacific Beat. We are a peacemaking theater company based in Flatbush. For those of you who don't know this neighborhood, Flatbush is the childhood stomping grounds of Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Senator Bernie Sanders, current New York State Assembly member Rodney Bichot, and actress Lucy Liu. And they are sort of representatives of the community that I live with here in this parts of Brooklyn. So if we can go to my slides, if possible, Aisha. Should I wait?
Give me one moment, Kyong.
Okay. Oh, I can keep going though. So what I was gonna say. So yeah, so our mission is to work with artists, non-artists, and local communities to transform personal and communal experiences of oppression into peace messages made public through performance. What that means is that we create work to bring people together to try to provide social cohesion and hopefully create work that elevates their spirits and to generate live performances and engagements that can create radical alternative knowledge that could be in service of our communities and for people around the world. I had on our slides some demographics of our organization that I wanted to share with you, just in the spirit of the HueArts survey, asking for us to share some of the compositions of our organizations and communities we serve. I just wanted to sort of share with you our organization's profile. For the last 10 years, we were unincorporated because I'm an immigrant and legally I couldn't do much for our organization. But this year we became a nonprofit. We have a healthy board led by incredible women of color from our community. I am now on staff. We have some part-time staff members. And at the core of our company, we're an ensemble of 15 artists. We are a multiracial and interdisciplinary group of artists that has been together and working together for about 10 years in the city. So there we go. Thank you. I think we can go to slide 2, 3, 4. I'm skipping some of our history, but the next slide.
Show us your pictures, Kyong.
Oh, okay.
Just quickly.
Yeah, so the thing I wanted to say about, being a peacemaking theater company, it is a crazy idea, but I did study peace and there's a reason for why I am doing most of this. I came as an artist witnessing 9/11 and the war on terror and the anti-war protests that happened afterwards that didn't seem any kind of political impact, even though they were happening all the time in the city. So the big question was for me as a writer, what's the point of writing plays in times of war? So I did study peace. I studied the peace movements, particularly in New York after 9/11. I, did work with family and friends of 9/11 victims. And then I went around the world looking for political theater models like Boal's Theater of the Oppressed, which is a Nobel Peace Prize nominated theater methodology on how to bring together politics and theater together. And our theater company's sort of practice is based on this kind of training and contemporary political theater models of making theater work. So I just wanted to say, our peacemaking mission is not crunchy granola, kumbaya-ish peace. It's a kind of educated risk I've been taking. So if we can go to the next slides, please. Those are some of our stats and our company, and you'll see our board in the bottom Zoom screen. And then next slide, please. So what do we do? Our Mondragons are our resident artists. We have a shared ownership model. So our artists own the work we produce, and our hope is to tour it. And that is how we make our bread and butter. We produce every 3-4 years, and we take our time with our productions. And during that time, we are developing our work in conversation with our community. And these are the issues that sort of have arisen in conversation with our community that we try to address every time we do our work. One, we want to always create peace, meaning we want to address systems of violence and the ways we're experiencing them in our communities. So these days we're addressing state violence and imperialism as the way it affects our communities of color. We're always looking to queer the social spaces we occupy, to challenge the patriarchy and the heteronormativity of the white male gaze that usually curates and presents our work. We are in our anti-racist and sort of EDI work, to dismantle systems of oppression for me and for us means to protect and secure our cultural democracy, and to understand the participation of people of color and having our bodies and voices present is the way we maintain democracy. We say we devise the future because we're subsidizing with our $25,000 annual budget work that no one in the field will produce or risk producing. And we're hoping to decolonize our relations, not only with each other as people of color, but also with the environment and the nature and the spaces we occupy. And to just expand the reach of our work, we're branching out into other forms of creative expression. So can we go to the next slide, please? I'm totally over time, so I'll just quickly go through this. This is our future vision. We're looking for BIPOC partnerships to present and produce our work. We have been stalled in having access to production opportunities, but we've generated enough material to produce for the next 10 years. Next slide, please. We also, before COVID, were ready to create our first TV pilot. We had been offered and then we had to cancel it because of COVID. So we lost a great opportunity, and we had seed funding, and we're speaking with commercial producers. But, I think our future is also, I think, not only in the telling of our stories, but being the owners of the means of production for the making of our stories. So that is a radical sort of proposition that I would like to make for us in the field. Next slide, please. And just because this is just the way we engage with community, it's always different because we're trying to meet community where they are. Next slide, please. So this is the thing that I really wanted to share with you all. So underneath all the violence we're experiencing, there are structures of violence that normalize them. And underneath all the structures, there's a culture that legitimizes violence and makes it acceptable as a means of responding to conflict in our society. And next slide, please. The way we've been doing change work is by really looking at where the violence is being manifest, and doing our work of researching and disrupting through the creation of our work to try to create and change both our culture and the cultural narratives that are perpetuating this culture of violence, and to try to transform it into a culture of peace. And next slide, please. So knowing that we can't do this on our own, we would like to share with you our dream, which is to make of New York City a home, and make it a city that can center peace, justice, nature, and the arts, as that just being a way for us to be able to more safely and more lovingly and caringly and radically be in this space with you. Yeah, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kyong. And again, thank you, Amy and Libertad, for your presentations. Again, if you want to learn more and support these organizations, we put their information in the chat. And now moving forward, we're going to take a short time to just break out into rooms to talk about 3 or 4 questions related to arts organizations of color specifically. Aisha, how are we breaking out?
So each breakout session, I will actually give myself a face, so it's not just a LP screen. I'm going to be breaking out everyone into, we have 6 facilitated small group rooms. Everybody will be joining a room. You will be random. The facilitators will be guiding you through some questions, which I will drop in the chat in just a moment. Each of your groups will have a note taker, so someone there to record what's being shared for reference. And yeah, so just need 1 minute to get everybody all set up, but you will soon have the Zoom magic take place. So 1 moment.
And let me just stress how important this conversation is for us. Your feedback really helps us with our project moving forward. We are really compiling as much information and data as possible to make this successful. So we really hope that you'll stick around and just support this work. And again, the breakout will be about 20 to 30 minutes, no more than that. And then we'll come back and we'll have more conversation with you all. So thank you again for joining us.
The hunter. That was the thing that really resonated with all of us, and it underscored the importance of this directory and spaces like this that give us autonomy in telling our stories, and because oftentimes the story is incomplete, and our existence and the existence of spaces like this help to complete that story. And there's always the need for a backstory, because we always only see the headlines. We see the thing that leads the news, the nightly news, but we don't ever see what led up to that moment. And that's why it's important that we're the ones at the forefront of telling those stories. No one tells our story like us. No one tells it like we do. And another thing that came out of this was the fact that we now have a space where we can think more deeply about collaboration and being able to present other organizations, because there's a central space that there's an awareness that all of these organizations exist and the work that they're doing. And so now we can tap into this whole idea of collaborating and sharing our resources. So really, essentially, it could be a shift in the power structure, because now there's no middleman. We're in charge of telling our stories, and we're in charge of finding people to collaborate with.
Absolutely, most definitely. Next up, we have Kemi. Does your group want to share?
Yes, indeed. Ditto to all of the things that Andrew shared. So thank you. And I'll try to not repeat. A couple of things that I'll pull out from our conversation. One was the possibility of calling in resources, that the possibilities of by being visible to each other, as well as other concentric circles of the world. This is an opportunity to really call in, what does it look like to build capacity? What does it look like to be able to do our work and live our dreams? What does it look like to maybe collaborate in back of house needs as organizations, but being able to be connected to each other so that we can have those conversations about how we strengthen each other and how we are literally sending out a back signal of sorts. That's like, this is what we need. This is who we are. One of the things that an example I loved was maybe we find out that there's, all of this incredible work happening in a particular neighborhood in Staten Island. Well, then is there a festival to do? Is there something to do to pull that in, to make that more visible? So that was another idea, was the idea of widening the aperture and shifting the lens and focusing it on a different story, and the story of POC arts and all of which has been happening for years. We had 3 fantastic examples at the beginning of the call and so many more. So what does that look like to shift language, shift attitude, and really move from the dominant white gaze to the reality of a different perception that actually people of color are the majority of the world, and in fact, the majority of our very own city, right? So, and this, all the census data coming out lately has only confirmed that. So this idea of shifting perception so that we understand they're more than the CIGs, they're more than the people that we know of every day of the week, but vibrancy is actually really connected to what's happening in our cities, and we need to know more about that. And then one of the other ideas was the power of joint advocacy, and so collaboration to make work and collaboration to fight for one another for what we need. And Libertad began to point towards that even in her opening presentation. So there was certainly much more, but those are 3 ideas I just wanted to pull up really quickly and move on to the next.
Perfect. Thank you, Kemi. Next up, we have Swati.
Hi, thank you. We had a great conversation. I'm just going to pull out a couple of pieces. One thing one of the reasons why POC arts organizations matter to us is that we are directly working with the community. A lot of times we're involved in mutual aid. We are doing community-based cultural hubs, and also that POC centers tend to not make a distinction between the avant-garde and, you know, what is considered artwork versus a and offers a more multi-generational space. We anticipate multi-generational audiences who want to be pushed artistically and intellectually, and that's something unique that POC arts organizations do. A directory is sorely needed after the pandemic. A lot of organizations, individuals, artists have been hurting a lot, and this is a way we can connect to one another. And we had a lot of dreams. We have dreams of brick and mortar spaces, long-term support structures, building organizations, and building politically upon our cultural capital in a way in which we're not necessarily competing with one another, but creating bridges.
Yes, love it. Next up, we'll have Lillian.
Yeah, we had a small group, but we had covered a wide range of experiences in where we started in terms of working in this field of trying to build solidarity in POC communities 50 years ago, and where we are now today and what we can move forward in the future. We talked a little bit about power and politics, the question of who has access to the mainstream, and whether are we all fitting into a set narrative where there are resources distributed by those who are in power. How do we define community if there are so many communities? Example that was raised was the idea of kind of, if you have to be in the right school, right education to get into certain exhibits. And so who is deciding if it's, Black artists, but is it Black artists that went to Yale? Just kind of those levels of real scrutiny in terms of what we mean by community and being specific. And then really looking at who holds power, who decides, who gets funded, who doesn't, who gets access to an exhibit, who doesn't. Those choices are all being made. We're still in the mindset of the white gaze and those in power, and that how do we take back that and own it for ourselves? And that kind of speaks to this project's focus on a FUBU kind of perspective that we didn't get to finish this conversation, but we just started it. That's all I'll say for that. Pass it on to somebody else.
Awesome, thank you. Next up, we'll have Jay Soto.
Great. So for how this work matters, we discussed the importance, obviously, of representation. I also was thinking a lot about mentorship, the importance of us being the best people to tell our stories. And again, legacy was mentioned a lot, and I think that that's another really important point to highlight in terms of institution building and really knowing your history and being able to represent it, and the importance of archiving. We also talked a little bit about age representation and being able to, see a model for yourself if you're a young person, but also if you're an older person, maybe you wouldn't have access to models when, BIPOC folks that were making art and were telling, their stories when you were younger, but having that opportunity intergenerationally is really important. So thinking intergenerationally about opportunity and representation, and not being ageist around that. And how would this, map and resource be most helpful? Thinking about the opportunities for greater collaboration. Again, visibility came up in I think every single one of these questions, just as a kind of the importance of, taking stock of who's out there and who's in the world with us. And like, I think how energizing that feels, even just talking about it. And again, the networking opportunities that brings, being able to deepen partnerships. So partnerships being able to really go on for a long time and really build strong relationships with POC organizations and POC leadership. And imagining our world bigger than maybe we think that it is. I know personally, sometimes you sort of have this feeling, especially because we all work a lot and we work fast. And sometimes there just isn't the opportunity to really take stock of, who is in community with us. And then the third one was dreaming about, what do we kind of dream for a POC arts organization, whether we are at one now or we'd like to work with one. And this was, I think, kind of the most kind of deep, at least I sort of felt that conversation that we had was around just really feeling that there needs to be, and there is, potentially happening right now, a real paradigm shift around this work, around representation, who's leading it, and the importance of BIPOC folks leading that change-making work, and it being understanding also that it's been happening for generations, that BIPOC-led institutions and organizations have been serving communities, making art, and doing amazing work for generations, but have been sorely under-supported often. So really, that work needs to be led by the community, and that there's a kind of turning of energy and processes that's happening, and that we're, a paradigm shift we're hopeful for.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Jay Soto. All right, next up we have Lorna.
Am I still muted? Good evening. So everything that's been said already, am I last or not? But we've all really talked about the same thing, the same issues, So I'm going to kind of like bullet what came out of our conversation. So we kind of really started out with how we're educated, the New York City public school systems and the other type of structures that we come from, of how we learn and what we learn, and being people that were colonized. And so how does that impact who we are as a people, who our children are, who our families are, that type of thing. And then also led, like everyone else said, to an intergenerational conversation. It's really, really important to have the multi-generational, and not even multi, but intergenerational. And another thing that was really important is that these are foundational issues. These are issues that form the foundation of not just people of color, but by us taking the lead of being people of color, we are in control. We are controlling our own destiny. We are owning these stories and putting them out there. So that's how we are informing each other. But as we inform each other, we're also informing the greater public, and even on a global scene. Something else that came out of this was that this is organized information. Like, it's really, really organized, and that directory is going to be a great resource. But what was really interesting that came out towards the end, there just wasn't enough time really, was bridging of cultural narratives. How different cultures have really, since the beginning of time, worked with each other. Lisa brought up something about the Black Panthers and that connection to the Asian community. you know, and it's not even just the Black Panthers, but back in the day with the Native Americans and the Trail of Terrors, how the Africans, the slaves, the enslaved people and the Native American people. I mean, we've always worked together. And now we get a chance to advocate for that work. So that's what came out of our conversation. And we really reflect everything that was said and out of the others in answering these questions. So the dream is to really take that and to be advocates.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lorna. And
You're
next
welcome.
we have Diane.
Sorry, no, not Diane.
No, not Diane. Okay.
No.
So is that it?
I think so.
All right. Thank you again.
Stephanie, I had the computer crash and I just got it home and got it set up at 6:33. So I had a little,
Okay.
you know, a minor, like a mini nuclear explosion in my life.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you're here. Did you want to make any comments? I know you probably weren't able to.
No, she really kept our conversation on track. I mean, it was Diane that brought up the colonization, the foundational issues, you know, so yes. Thank you, Diane, and
Awesome.
everyone, thank you.
Thank you again. Thank you both again. All right, Aisha, next up.
I think it goes to me if all the groups have gone. Fabulous. Thank you so much. That is inspiring. I had a fantastic conversation, and then hearing the resonances, the call and response, like just kind of the affirmations coming from all of the other reports was really beautiful. One of the things that I did not say at the beginning, but has come up, Lillian mentioned it, is that our attitude and approach and grounding for this entire project has been for us, by us, and FUBU. Like, we get to do this research, we get to ask the questions we want to ask, we get to look at our strengths, not just our deficits, right? We know we have challenges, but here's all the amazing things we're doing. How do we capture that, quantify that? How do we turn that into fuel to keep doing the work and doing it better and more deeply? So thank you for sharing your wisdom, your ways, your energy with us tonight. Thank you to our three presenters, Amy, Kyong, and Libertad. Thank you to the partners that I get to work with on this project, which has been incredible. Thank you to all of our facilitators and our supporters and funders who have given support for the work and then gotten out of the way. Really appreciate that. Art workers, cultural workers, artists, thank you. There's so many of you on this call that wear multiple hats at all times, doing work in just incredible ways. We had a little shout out for you, Kyong, in our breakout group. Like, look what happened with $25,000. Imagine if there was more. Imagine if there's more support and more visibility and all the possibilities. And thank you to all of you for attending, and with all the hats, again, all the wisdom that you bring, all your creativity. We really are committed and passionate and will not let ourselves fail in doing our best to capture the power and the possibilities that you guys have shared with us tonight. Paradigm shifts, power and collective, the power of visibility, shifting narratives and stories. There's so many things that you shared out that I'll be taking with me as we continue this. And let's see, you will be getting an email from us in the next 24 to 36 hours, inviting, just kind of doing a little sum up and inviting you to continue reflecting. If there are things that you didn't think about, but still want or didn't have a chance to share, we'll give you an opportunity to share with us. There's a very important organizational survey that's a key part of our research. It is only one per organization, POC, and we're really saying entities. You can be 501c3, you could be fiscally sponsored, you can be a for-profit POC arts organization or entity in any way, founded and led by and centering POC folks across the board. Look in December when we will have a map, interactive map, our directory and our brown paper. Please go online and sign up for our email list so you can be kept up to date on all of these, everything that we're up to. And I want to end with a quote that I try to carry in my heart, and it's by the wonderful, esteemed, Black is Beautiful, Zora Neale Hurston, writer, anthropologist, thinker, and instigator. And she had a quote where she says, "Sometimes I feel discriminated against, but it doesn't make me angry. It merely astonishes me. How can any deny themselves the pleasure of my company? It's beyond me." And it is beyond me why we would not celebrate, lift up, and be ourselves, for ourselves, by ourselves, with ourselves, and in all the FUBU ways. So I just wanted to leave that quote as a gift to all of us. It's one that I turn to often when I need a little bit of strength to keep moving one foot in front of the other. And we're doing much more than just one foot in front of the other. So thank you, thank you, thank you, and have a fantastic night. Thank you, Stephanie, for co-hosting this, our last of our kind of public events before we get to move to the next phase of the work. Anything you want to say, Stephanie or Lillian?
Yes. I would just like to thank everyone again for participating. Really looking forward to sharing with you all the next steps and for the project report to come out and for you all to see that and the directory and the map and everything. And I also would like to say thank you to the partners, to Hester Street and Laundromat Project.
And I wrote this in the text, in the chat, but I just want to encourage again for people to, if there are people not in this room that you know of that are POC-led centered organizations, I mean, we've initially identified about 400. We're not going to capture that in the first year, but just to kick this off as we design this map and directory, we want to capture as many voices in the room of this room, people that you know that should be there, because we know that there are many out there that are kind of in different configurations. Again, fiscally sponsored projects to for-profit and a nonprofit. So just wanted to give that plug because that is closing on August 30th. Thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you, Swati, for the amazing background. Appreciate it. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, now you can push the
Yes, thank you, Aisha and Emma and the whole team. Sorry, there's so many, but really, really appreciate all the work behind the scenes, really.
Yeah.
Thank you, Danielle. I believe that we are wrapped.
Yes.
Yay.
Sorry about that, Aisha. I didn't have the list, so, but very deep thanks.
Mine is I'm trying to take over my life. Sorry, unexpected text. I was for Kyong, I'm so sorry. It completely bombed my whole computer screen, so I couldn't even get to the presentation. So.
But we did it. You did it.
We did it. We did it.
Congratulations.
Okay.
And yeah, just thought it would be helpful to connect and just do quick debrief. Amy, you are off the hook. You did not have to be at this debrief. I don't know if you're here on purpose or